Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we asking for? Like, the comp scene is a small percentage of NBA 2K players. Why would you? Why would the game cater to comp players? You know what did this? You know who did this? Call of Duty. Call of Duty. Look how well they're doing. They are struggling right now. They increased their gameplay and made it more comp. There is more cheaters because now people cannot keep up with the game because they don't know how. So now they have to cheat. So all you're doing by making the game even more compy and less fun and more competitive, you're encouraging cheaters. You're encouraging cheating. That's exactly what's going to happen. It's a trickle-down effect. I can't keep up. I enjoy playing this game, but I cannot play it. People are going to cheat. That's plain and simple. People are going to cheat. That's exactly what happened with Call of Duty. That's what's happening with Fortnite. It's all the same thing. Fortnite is still cool because they still try to make it friendly. They still try to make it fun. Call of Duty, straight comp. You're going to play people your skill level and your skill level only. We think you're a little bit better. We're going to move you up. And you're just going to get shit on all day. That's just the way it is. Call of Duty is just like that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So what ends up happening is people get fed up. It's like, I enjoy the game. I spent money on the game. I'm going to cheat. They're going to find ways to cheat. They're going to find ways to exploit. That's just the way it is. So you want to add more comp to the game that's already decently comp. It's not the greatest comp game ever, but we're not sitting here hosting fucking, pardon my language, but we're not sitting here hosting NBA 2K $1 million tournaments. We're not doing that. Like, it's just not happening. Like, that's just not happening.
Has to be a closer gap. For example, in 2K20, there was people wagering on all sorts of builds. You had the BP, right? The build that was dunk and shoot. I think it was blue, green. Then you had the two-way slashing playmaker. Okay, that was a great build. Then you had the playmaking glass.
So this gameplay that we just saw. If you didn't see it, go back. That's a 5'9" or whatever that's on this dude. You're just getting dominated. That's what happens with a 5'9". But 6'4" and under is the meta. I don't get it.
Cleaner. Then you had the pure sharpshooter like Annoying would use, or you had the pure shot creator like Tyceno would use. So many different builds people were literally going and playing for money on. You will not see that on 2K25, or let's just say you did not see that this year because the year is basically over. If you guys have watched any sort of competitive games for money like 1v1 me, every single 2v2 is pretty much the same exact builds. Maybe some of them run a different style, like Young Dirk will ISO, but he's still on a 99 3-point, okay? The other guy's on a 99 3-point, 99 mid-range. It's the same thing because there's just no reason. It's a massive disadvantage, like I said, to be on anything else. And why would you do that playing for money? But let's just hop into the next clip. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm talking about, where the game needs to go. And it does sound like it's going that way, but we will see. Let's get into it.
Also, when it comes to big man contact dunks, expect that to not be capped at 6'10". Okay, so at 6'10", you're expecting to only be able to get the big man elite and pro contact dunks. Don't expect that. Expect that to be just solely based on your standing dunk rating. So if you're able to get that standing dunk rating to get the pro contact dunks, which is an 80, so if you're 6'6" and you're able to get an 80 standing dunk, then you can get that standing contact dunk. Almost kind of how it is for like your smaller individuals that can dunk, like a Zion Williamson, who is obviously just 6'6", but we all know he can get standing dunk with ease and big contact dunks under the basket with ease. So that's a good quality of life.
But that comes with vert. Like that should be tied into vert though. Like the animations you get with that should be tied in with your vert. Because yes, Zion 6'6", it's not his standing dunk that gets him there, it's his vert. Right? Like his vert is what he's able to explode up with. That vert should be the issue. Like it shouldn't be the standing dunk. So the standing dunk, yeah, you got them contacts, but you probably won't get up there, bud. But your vert should tie into that. Like your vert should tell you whether you should be able to get that contact dunk or not. Because if you don't have the vert, you're not even gonna get up there.
change right there.
This is huge information, which also ties back to what he said in a different video about not being able to make Giannis, because Giannis is what, 6'10"? He's a defensive player of the year. Obviously, he's got clamps, like the badge clamps, okay, in real life. But you can't do that on 2K25. So it just, again, makes...
Like, clamp, yeah, cool, but not on the perimeter, not isoing a guard. Like, that's not a thing. Like, he can guard his own, maybe a little smaller, bigger, cool. But you put him on a Steph Curry, Giannis ain't keeping up with Steph Curry. Come on, man.
Since this builder has a lot of issues in terms of how the gameplay matches up with it, why can you not have clamps as a 6'10"? Giannis is a defensive player of the year.
But he's not guarding Steph Curry. He's not guarding Damian Lillard. He's not guarding Tyrese Halliburton. He's not guarding SGA. Those clamps are for the players in his position range. He's guarding them. If anybody, he's guarding guards that can't shoot, and he's getting them blocks off of that. He may slow them down, but he's not staying on them the entire time. Come on, man. Giannis is good defensively. Don't get me wrong. Giannis is great defensively. But he's not staying with a guard the entire time. That's not happening. That's not a thing.
At 6'10". Then he talks about your ratings again, just like in the ball handling category for taller builds. You know, if you have a high standing dunk, you're not going to be limited by your height. So I'm liking all the things I'm hearing. It makes sense. It's good for the gameplay, for the diversity, and I really hope that 2K doesn't change too much about what Uncle Demi knows at the moment.
It's not good for the diversity because now people are just going to be making the same builds under the same positions. Why? There's no other reason to make a power forward now. Why would you make a power forward? So now you're getting into random wrecks with 2 centers, 2 small forwards, 2 shooting guards, and a small forward at the power forward spot. And in the off chance you do walk into a power forward, now that small forward's at a disadvantage. Like, it just doesn't make it, like, it's just weird. It's just weird. Like, now there's no positions, right? And I get it. The NBA is going to positionless, and that makes sense. Like, that I can agree with, because there's a lot of players that they don't run the offense through the point guard anymore. They run it through the forward or the 3, the 2, the 4. Like, they'll run it that way. They'll run it through the 5. Like, Denver will run their offense through Jokic. Like, I get that. So we're getting into a positionless NBA to a certain extent because there's no pure big man. But we still want pure big man builds. If we're being realistic, why is that a thing? Right? I don't know. I'm just so confused on what we want as a community.
So let's just hop into the next one, because this one is actually not really about the builder, but it kind of is. It's about the entire gameplay. And this is honestly, it could be the biggest information that we've got in this whole video. So let's get to it.
And then,
one last thing, chat, before we get into this. If we're giving ball handling to these players, what are we doing on the defensive end? Are their speed staying the same? Is their agility staying the same? Because now you're putting the defense at a disadvantage. Something there has to be balance, and no one's talking about that.
of course, from the shooting standpoint, one thing I will say is that expect shooters.
Put your wingspan down, Uncle Demi. Man.
To get more of that 2K19 type feel, type vibe. All right, where, you know, you could have a lower rating and still be able to shoot.
And then you still got your takeover, man.
You know, it's almost like going back to the roots, man, of where, you know, the game where people were really having a lot of fun with that.
And those games didn't have takeover, so like they could get away with stuff like that. But this one, now you got takeover, you were just not using it.
Yeah, honestly, that is the biggest information of the video. I can't even lie. If the game allows you to shoot, if you're good at the game, this is the difference. If you're not good at the game and it allows you to shoot with a low rating consistently, that's a problem. But if you have a low rating and you are able to differentiate yourself between others at a low rating, like have a pretty dramatic difference in 3-point percentage, that is huge for the gameplay.
Why? Why is that? That's horrible for the gameplay. Because now if I'm shooting 75, 80% with a 72 3-point rating, what's the point in having it? Now no one needs to waste attributes on it. Not everyone can shoot. And those who can't shoot, up it, and now they're shooting 75, 80% because they put it up 5 more stats than I did. Like, that makes absolutely no sense. Oh, I can use those attributes elsewhere. But so can everyone else. If I can do it, everyone else can. I'm not the best player, and I shoot pretty decent from 3-point range. I shoot almost 50%. And all my builds 3-point rating, the highest I have is an 85. I've been shooting with an 83 3-pointer all season, all year. And I shoot almost 50%. Like, come on, man. Like, people are asking to make every single shot every single time. Why? That's boring. Now you're just good. Now you're just great. No one can stop you. Like, what's the competitiveness in it if everyone's making shots?
And the builder, they are tied together. I wanted to save it for later, but that is honestly, in my opinion, the most important part of the entire builder. It dictates every single year. If you are the best player in the world and you can't shoot a decent 3-point percentage with a 73-pointer, 75 decent, you're not going to make that. Like, most people just aren't going to make the build. Okay? They're not going to.
You shouldn't make the build if you can't shoot with that. But if I'm going to make 1, 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, that's the whole point I got this. Just in case I'm wide open. Just in case you need me to shoot this 3. I'm going to hit it. Or I'm going to try to hit it. I'm going to do my best. But hopefully in that time frame, I got my takeover up. I got my stats up. I upgraded my badges. I put my set shot specialist from Hall of Fame to Legend because I got a 90-something mid-range. But I put it on Legend to help me boost that. There's ways to boost your shooting with it being so low. Like, I don't understand. What are we doing? Like, you want to make every shot with the 73?
It just destroys diversity, and this game proved it. That's why I told you guys that I think this game, it honestly needed to happen. As bad as so many things are with the RNG and all that, it needed to just top. It needed to reach the peak of people being able to see how bad it is when we turn it up and say, hey, the game is going to control how good you shoot dramatically by an algorithm. We needed that so that we can move forward in the future. I think an amazing example is 2K20 versus 2K21. In 2K20, both of these games that we're comparing had a very similar build system, the pie charts, whatever you want to call it. In 2K20, if you had a 53-point rating, you weren't like knocked down the greatest shooter unless you were just like insane. Like, you were really, really locked in. You know, you could have some games where you did really good. But if you had a 73-pointer, you could shoot pretty good if you were an elite player. But in 2K21, it didn't matter how good you were. It was a massive difference when you're doing a comparison between the builders, where you could be the best player in the world, and you compare, if you had a 73-pointer on 2K21, 73-pointer on 2K20, you would have a gigantic difference in 3-point percentage.
And I feel like the only players that really, truly love that game are the comp guys. The comp scene, the stage. Those guys are the ones that enjoy that the most. I think the casuals, I can't see it. Because if that was so great for the casuals, they would have left it. Because the casuals make up majority of the fan base. They need player retention. And I feel like because of something like that, they had to go away from it because players weren't playing. Only players that were playing were comp. And that were comp and the diehards. Like, diehards probably, some of them just didn't care about it. Like, I don't know what we're asking for.
Which messes up diversity in terms of the whole community in total. You're going to have people say, I don't care, I'm still going to make this, whatever. But I'm just talking about the community in general. The shooting has to be not necessarily more forgiving, but higher skill gap. Once again, if it's easy to shoot with a low rating and you're not that good, that's a problem. But if you're pretty good, above average, above average, like an elite player, you should be able to shoot. If you're wide open and you know your shot, it should go in. That's going to be really good for diversity. It's going to be great for longevity of the game.
No, it's not, because now you're talking about skill gap. All you're doing is increasing that skill gap to where now it's just unplayable, and only people that can play the game are the people that can manage to knock down their shots with a 72 overall 3-point rating. Now, if they're knocking that down with a 72, all these attributes are going elsewhere. Their build is just that much better. And it's just that much harder to stop because other people have to use those attributes to get on the threes. And I agree with the diversity, but that much of a skill gap will kill a game. Not enough skill gap and too much skill gap will kill games.
And I'm liking what I'm hearing so far, but of course, guys, please, you already know these videos are not sponsored. Buy the game at your own risk. There's so many other things, factors that go into a good game. So please do not be super hyped up right now. Let's hear more information. Let's get into the next clip.
Basically expect kind of similar in line of what it was this year as far as the cap breakers to be able to get certain things. But what I will say is that expect the 6'10" and taller builds to be able to get stuff like on-ball menace and that type. So right now you see how it's capped off. You're not able to get the on-ball menace.
Like that I agree with, because yeah, you might be able to be 6'10" and still be an on-ball menace. But I think this is just for perimeter though. Like, it's just relentless perimeter defender. And there's no 6'10" that's just, I'm locked on to you from baseline to baseline around the perimeter, like around the arc. Like, no, there's no 6'10" that does that. If anybody got one, let me know. Giannis is good, but Giannis is not, I'm harassing Steph Curry on the baseline, on the perimeter. Like, you can harass your defender, but that 82 is way more than enough for that. You shouldn't get a badge for that. Like, you don't need a badge for that. I just, for what? What do we need on-ball menace for? And you're only on the perimeter for 10 seconds. Your man is easily defendable because he's slow. He probably can't dribble. So why would we give you on-ball menace? It just makes no sense.
Expect to be able to get that and not be capped off with that, because we all know individuals like, again, Giannis, there's taller 6'10" builds that can defend. And I will talk about lockdown defenders in a video coming up real soon, is what you should expect from a lockdown. It's going to be interesting when it comes to lockdowns, because since you are able to, potentially, like, this is a guess, to be able to be 6'10" and be able to get, clamps and that type of sort. Again, that 2K19 vibes of those 6'10" lockdowns that were running around that people were hated them 6'10". I had a 6'10" lockdown in 19. So, but again, you can kind of expect that.
So, Uncle.
Okay, so now we're adding balance. Okay, I can deal with that. If we're adding dribbling, adding all that stuff, okay, we got to up the defense as well. I get that. But what would be the purpose of upping the defense to stop the offense? Why not just leave it the same where we're at now? Why would you up them both just to cancel them out again? So now we're going to be right back in the same situation we're in. Like, the balance is not perfect, but it's not bad. It's not awful. It's good. Defense and offense is really balanced in this game. I don't know what the issue is.
Demi is funny, man, how he has to slide in that little, baby, this is what it is. Because he can't, again, he's just not going to be able to say, hey, either I tested the game and this is how it is, or I didn't test the game this year, but he's been at so many of these events. He obviously has friends at 2K. Even if he wasn't there, you don't think he's got any single person that he knows that was there that tells him about the game? You think people don't mess up NDAs behind closed doors? I mean, come on. This happens all the time, guys. All the time. So I like, again, where he goes in this direction of it just making sense that you can make a tall build that has clamps. There's plenty of guys that are tall, that are good defenders, that can dribble, that can do more things in the NBA that we got to see more of in 2K26. You guys know I have like a 7-3 Wemby. That's a really good build, like in terms of you've seen how I can move on it, right? But you're not even really, the game wasn't even made for that. Okay, the basic escape that everybody uses, including myself, on the tall builds, that's like, I don't even think 2K, actually, I would say there's a 99% chance that 2K did not mean for the game to be like that. The basic escape, 25 ball handle, where you have to do basically a secret move to activate it, where you flick it twice and you have to run a certain way. They didn't mean for it to be like that. That's the only reason you're even able to move like that on the...
And that's just part of the exploit. Like, that's just, you put an exploit in the game, people are going to use it. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're going to use it.
The builds that are tall, like especially my Wemby that's like 7'3". Okay, so you can maybe have a different argument for like 6'10s and stuff, but the over 7 foot builds, you're not moving without that basic escape. All right, so let's get into the next and last clip, but then we have some Joe Knows stuff to talk about. And like I said, this video is about all the build information we currently have, so we're gonna cover it all. And let's get into this last Uncle Demi clip.
I will be going with a taller 6'10 build. Expect my 6'10 lockdowns, expect 6'10 guard builds or dribbling builds, that type of sort. Big builds will be able to get it. Smaller builds are going to have some fun too, don't get it twisted. But as you know, as the league is moving further and further to bigger guards, I mean, Shai Gilgeous is on the cover for a reason. When you look across the league, the NBA, and you look at all these guards that are dominating, they're getting bigger and bigger, right? And those smaller guards are starting to you just don't see them. You see the Cade Cunninghams, you see the Shai Gilgeous-Alexanders, you see the Tyrese Halliburtons.
Yeah, the LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball is probably the only two. So Shai and LaMelo is probably the only two that should have that's capable of getting high speed with ball. That's the only two. I don't see anybody else that can keep up with them. Handle-wise, as a tall guard, I don't see anybody else.
Guards that can do a lot of things. And as we all know, in the past couple years with NBA 2K, big guards were really, really limited on what they can do. So thank goodness for Shai Gilgeous coming on the cover, man. And he's going to open up that whole new world of bigger guards being able to get back to cooking with grease. So those pure playmakers that were really dominant, and that was a lot of fun back in 19 and 20. 6'7", 6'8" that were really, really good. That could, get that very high, dribble ball handle and stuff. You should expect that again, man. Have some fun with it, all right? But
okay, so that one was kind of going over some of the things we've already talked about, so I don't want to go deep into it. But again, being able to make taller guards, being able to actually move on them, it's only going to work one or two ways. One, you can make very overpowered builds like 2K22 Next Gen, where it's just insane, not even close to real builds, where you can have like 99 perimeter, 99 3, high contact dunks. Or you have more of like a 2K20, where you can make a build that can move, but especially as you go taller, you're going to be penalized by not like getting the best shooting and stuff like that. However, if you are good at the game, that's not that big of a deal, which creates more diversity, and competitively is just much better to watch and play in as well. So let's talk about this Joe Knows video, the 2K26 My Player Builder that he posted.
Okay, so I'm not going to get into this. I'm not too worried about the builder, but yeah, with these changes, a lot of it, we're going to run into situations where, like this year, we had the Kobe Bryant triple threat cheese, where you just take a step into a layup animation. And really, Giannis can do that. But really, those should be called for travel, especially if you're not dribbling. You just dry take off with it. But Giannis does stuff like that, right? And I just feel like That's what that opens the door for those type of animations, and that's what's gonna happen. Is those types of cheese is gonna just come out of nowhere. It's probably gonna be even worse. I mean, we're looking. I don't know, man. We might have some crazy animation glitches and exploits that's gonna pop up and people are gonna find, and then it's gonna turn into 2K26 is the same as 2K25. 2K26 is trash. 2K26 is this. 2K26 is this is a good 2K, and we're gonna get those because they're trying out new animations. They're trying to find that balance. They're trying to fine tune the animations and the skills, and it's just I don't know, man. I think adding all that stuff without fixing your animations first is a problem. So asking for high dribble handles on these bigs and these asking for bet like I said, I don't see why a big man who's guarding a center should have on ball menace. Makes no sense. There's no reason for it. So now even if you can dribble, you got a 6'10" on ball menace, you're just locked. What's the point of having the dribble if you're just going to get stonewalled? That makes no sense. But it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think, man. I know this is a long video. I'm probably going to break this up into 2 or 3 parts. Maybe 4 parts. But let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below, man. And follow me on Twitter. Let's talk about this, bro.